All right, everyone. Welcome to Tiger Talk Thursday. We have Liane joining us today. I'll give you a little bit of a background. If you are new to transitioning to life after sports, this is episode 36. So Liane grew up in Montreal. She left home at 15 on a hockey scholarship to Stanstead College in Quebec, Vermont. And that was from 2002 to 2004. And then went to Hebrin Academy in Maine around 2004 to 2006. Returning to Canada, she attended Carleton University, local team, to play varsity hockey and golf. And she played 2 years in the CWHL. And to end it off, she played in Czech Republic for the North American Stars out of Boston in one of the biggest women's hockey tournaments. Awesome. Liane continued to teach on the ice throughout her playing career, and she's never stopped playing hockey with her old teammates. She's now back on the ice teaching and coaching her sons for the second year in a row for the West End Hockey League here in Ottawa, Ontario. So while finishing her minor in sign language, I didn't know you had sign language. That's really cool. She became a mortgage agent on a team for a year. She ended up absolutely loving it. So she proceeded to join the bank for seven and a half years doing mortgages, and her heart returned to the mortgage broker world to work for Keyrate. And it's been now 4.5 years, which she's great at. She works for us as well. So she knows her stuff. And being self-employed right out of university was a major goal for Liane, coupled with helping others. And finances have always sparked an interest in her. So welcome to the series, Life After Sports.
Thank you. My light just died, so my apologies.
That's okay. No worries at all.
Wrong with it.
We can see you. So I'm really grateful to have you on the call. I really want to know, leaving home at 15, I mean, young athletes, some of them are just getting started and you were leaving home. Let's go back to your young playing days.
Yeah, it was definitely hockey in our household. I started skating at 2 or 3 and just got right into hockey. My dad was coaching. My brother played hockey. He played hockey. So next thing I knew, at 13, 14, my dad's having a conversation with me about potentially going to prep school, which I'm like, okay, going away to school sounds good. And then I went to a showcase, and Stanstead was building their women's program. So I was actually the first female to get a scholarship there for hockey. So that
nice.
was
Wow.
very cool. My brother went there. So it already felt like home because my brother went. So I already knew the campus very well.
Yeah, that's special. I didn't know that. Love that. And so let's talk about what that would be like, though, challenging as a 15-year-old child. I mean, mentally, physically demanding, from an education standpoint, like mom and dad are not there. Do you remember, can you take us back to that time and what that transition was like for you?
100%. I think I was just like, oh yeah, my brother did it. It's not that hard. But he went in grade 12. I did grade 10, and at
Well,
15,
girls are more mature than boys anyways, right?
yeah. So for me, when I went to Stansted, I was like, okay, I don't really know anyone, but I'm outgoing, so I'll meet people. I still have best friends today from that year, which is great. But it was definitely challenging because, you're being told what to do 24/7, which we all know teenagers don't love that. So for me, I had a pretty rude awakening the first couple weeks. And we had to play 3 varsity sports. So never played soccer. I was like, yeah, I'll try out.
You had
Can't
to
be that
play to
hard.
go there as a prep school. You had to play 3 different sports.
It's highly encouraged, and they want you to be working out and conditioning,
Cool.
being a team player before hockey season started. So I said, yeah, I'll play hockey. I'll play soccer. And I got cut. I got cut.
Oh
It was
no.
horrific, the worst. So they kicked me out, and I had to go do cross country running. And I joined this group, and they're running 10Ks like
Oh
it's
no.
2K. I don't think I ever ran 4K in my life.
Is that why
So
you
that
only
was a
like
rude
to
awakening.
cycle now? Did that ruin your love of running?
Well, I was forced to run later on in university. That was part of tryouts. So I got much better at running. I had to really work at it. But yeah, that was a rude
That's
awakening. And I
funny.
was
I
counting
remember
down
having
the
to
days
train
till
for
hockey.
UNH. I remember having to train and learn to run, and I didn't like it at the beginning. And then next thing you know, I have a marathon, 2 half marathons in my back pocket, but I hated running in the beginning. Now I love it, but interesting. That's funny.
Exactly.
So
So
knew everything, but clearly, I mean,
yeah,
you're successful at everything you seem to do. So clearly you were coachable and you were able to, stand in line, I guess, and learn and adapt.
yeah.
So you
Definitely wasn't all roses that fall semester.
for sure. Anything you want to share? Is there a secret that we don't know
Yeah,
about?
one thing that stands out is there was a long weekend in November around American Thanksgiving, and I brought home so much stuff. Like I'm talking luggage. My
Like,
parents
did
are
you
like,
think you were
"Whoa, that's
coming
a lot
back?
of stuff." Yeah, I was like, "I'm not going back. I think I'm good." Like with my house and like competitive hockey at high school and for the city. And my father said, "You start something, you finish it." And
Ooh.
I'll never forget that because now I say this to my son. I'm like, "No, you said you want to do this. You said you want to do that. Well, you start it, you finish it." And I'm like,
I,
"Oh my God, I sound like my
I
father."
know. I love that. It's so true. And I think as parents, our generation and younger generations have gotten a little softer in that headspace. So I love that you just shared that. That's so key. And I do believe it's really important that we start with what we finish. I mean, nothing ever gets easy as you get older. If it's something that's really meaningful to you, that's just part of the process. So obviously our talk is about life after sports, but it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, but there are transitions along the way. And I mean, you came curious. So you're playing away, and then obviously you make a return to Canada. That must have been an emotional time for you, or making that decision. What happened there in terms of you wanting to come back?
Yeah, so I am a dual citizen. So it was very easy for schools to pick me up. I didn't need a student visa. So that was definitely an advantage as a hockey player.
Yeah.
But when I decided I'm going to UVM, my brother was in Vermont. I felt very comfortable. He went to St. Michael's, felt like home. And then at Easter, I get pulled into my coach's office in Maine, and she says, "Hey, there's been some changes to the program, and I just want to let you know." And back in our day, NCAA, if you played one year and you wanted to switch later, you would skip a year.
Yeah, that's
Now
changed
that's
now,
not,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
That's not
they
a
don't
thing
do that
anymore.
anymore, which I agree with. You know, we are women. We've worked really hard to get where we are. We should be skipping any hockey in any year. However, so at that point, I said, I've worked way too hard. I can't take the chance going to a program and then I don't play, for example, and then I have to switch. And now I've missed 2 years. And when you miss 2 years like that, you're basically not going to play your third year. So for me, I didn't want to take that risk
Yeah.
and I wanted to be around people. I was in the woods, which was also a challenge coming from Montreal. So I needed life around me,
Yeah.
and Ottawa was perfect. I already had friends here. It was the only Canadian university I applied to.
Wow.
And I already, yeah, so it was great. And I knew they had varsity golf, which I'm a big golfer, grew up in a golf family. So it really worked out in the end, but it was quite the challenge last minute, telling everyone, "Oh yeah, now I'm coming back to Canada. I'm going to Ottawa. I'm going to go play for Carleton." So
I love it.
until this day, I still have great friends from
I know, and
then.
I love that. And I read that in your bio that you've never stopped playing, and life after sports. It's funny when I think about it. It's more of like an adaptation to how we see athletics in terms of from a competitive standpoint. But I'd love to hear. Did you struggle with like a more of a pickup league as opposed to having that structure, or people that are just as competitive as opposed to maybe just skating with your friends, or did it match the timeline? Because I find for me, I mean, when you're used to so much structure, um it's different when everybody's not on that same page. So did you go through any type of shift like that? Or I mean, we do know when people stay in sport and you were lucky enough to stay in sport, no injury prevented that from happening. You still have the endorphins and the serotonin running and the oxytocin from being on a team sport. So you're getting all those feel good hormones versus someone who has that drop. But what was that like for you? Did you miss anything from the competitive days, or?
So one thing I did enjoy is I had kind of a life after. So I
Mm,
took 6 months off when I was done hockey, and I just said, I just need a minute.
good
No
for
one's telling me
you.
to move for the first time in my life. So I'm going to take this 6 months and just heal
I love that.
and take a minute. Well, 6 months
Did somebody
passed. I did
recommend you
not
do that,
like
or
the
did you
way.
know? Sorry to cut you off.
No,
Did somebody
no,
advise you to do that, or did you do that on your own?
no. Just did it on my own. I just needed it. And I did not like who I was 6 months later. I did not like how I
Ooh.
felt. I gained about 15 pounds. It was just not for me. So then I went into a different mindset saying, you know what? I can work out and do what I want when I want. And
Mm,
that's when I got into hot yoga.
mm.
And I immediately like dropped 40 pounds. Like my hockey legs just like shrunk. And I just like healed mentally and physically. So that was a big
I want to
eye
stop
opener
you
for me.
there, because can you stop for a sec? People that are listening, I think this is a really important point that we need to drill home to our athletes that are listening, or parents, because Chris Pronger brought this up on when we spoke about, after leaving the NHL for 19 years, he was advised by some friends and mentors to take a full year off. So, and for me, my biggest growth and period after breast cancer was during a season of silence. And I think as humans, we busy ourselves and we put so much on our schedule, and we're all in the do, check off the list. And it's so important to take that time, implement it into your life going forward. But when you're in those transitions, to really take a step back. So isn't it interesting though, that you had the awareness and the knowing to do that on our own, like how intuitive we are as humans? I think that's pretty cool that people have that knowing.
Yeah, it was definitely something. I just listened to my gut and I
Mm.
just knew I needed a minute.
Yeah, I love that. So important to honor that intuition. So 6 months off,
Yeah.
and then you decided you didn't love
So
where you
went
were
back
at.
into hockey. So I went
Okay.
back into hockey. I found like a competitive league, which was really fun with some friends, which we ended up changing the caliber. So we all got kicked out of that league basically. And we started our own on
I love
Sunday
it.
nights, which you know all about.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
now I'm back at Sensplex and we're still in Division 1 against these 20-some-year-olds. So it's very
Oh my
humbling,
gosh,
but we
they're so
still
fast,
managed to
eh?
do well. They're so
They're so
fast.
fast. I used to be fast, but man, I'm like, what? I know.
Yeah.
But now
So
we're
we have the
smarter with the
hockey
puck.
smarts. Yeah, conserve energy.
Exactly. I know. When I see them going after, I'm like, yeah, you go. I love that. So, and now you're coaching. It was always in it. You're in the mortgage. How did you find transitioning into the mortgage broker world or the banking world after being, again, sports? I find there's so many wonderful skill sets we can learn from sport as well. Do you feel that that set you up for the mortgage world, or?
100%. We're used to being torn down, picked back up, bad day, good day. You play well, you don't play well. And that's the same thing in our jobs. Some days we're good, some days we're not. So we just have to keep pushing. And there are many days I was like, what am I doing in the mortgage world? I'm 22 years old. Like, I don't know anything. But someone told me, you got to do this. So I listened and I just listened to my gut and I went for it. And then I realized I need more training. And that's when the bank hired me at
Hmm.
23, which was shocking. But my old boss said I had him at hockey because they know athletes make good employees and we work hard and we want to do well. It's just in our DNA. So 7.5 years blank and, a couple bumps and bruises along the way in the corporate world.
Yeah.
But I just had a calling that kind of shifted that I ended up taking advantage of. And I've never looked back. I've never been happier. And I've never felt so appreciated in my whole life at Keyrate. So it's been a great transition, but very difficult the first year, very steep learning curve.
Yeah. I mean, isn't everything brand new, right? That's the power of the word not yet. I'm gonna be great at this, just not yet, right? Not yet. What would you say to somebody who's maybe struggling to life after sports, or, because again, we talked to a lot of athletes, and again, you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. We do get a lot of people that either through injury, retirement, or unforeseen circumstances that forces them to hang up the jersey. I love hearing that, you you took the 6 months off, but you realize it's funny how you disconnect from yourself, but then you miss that part of you. And I love that you're still skating. It's so awesome. What advice would you give someone who's maybe watching and listening to these episodes and they're suffering in silence and they haven't transitioned as easily as you were able to, what would be your top, 1 to 2, 3 things that you would recommend that they do?
So get a group of, if group of friends that you can voice your concerns, talk out loud. If it's not friends, maybe a therapist. This is really important after, so you can really express your feelings, because all your
Yeah.
feelings are valid
Yeah.
after you're done playing competitive sports. And I always remember that in university, getting jealous, seeing all my friends going out Friday and Saturday night, and I felt a little FOMO. And our coach is like, not everyone can play at this level. And that
Ooh.
sat with me. So not everyone has the opportunity to feel this way after university because you were a high performing athlete. So group of friends, find your passion. I like people. I like socializing. I love helping people. So for me, I knew finances. I always liked, okay, people, finances, full commission, mortgages. I can help people. And then continue that sport or not that sport, find a league, find a group. For me, I took a break and went to yoga. I did workouts for me. I found a league and girlfriends that I
Yeah.
loved. I joined different hockey teams. I didn't know anyone, just so
Mm-hmm.
I could talk to new people, instead of seeing the same girls over and over again, which I love and adore. But sometimes it's nice to branch out, especially when you're self-employed. Nice to meet new people. I'm not from Ottawa.
Yeah.
So branch
Networking.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
branch out
I
and
agree.
find your passion.
I love it. And I love your dad's advice. And it's funny what sticks with us, eh? Like I even when I did my TED talk, I opened it up about my mom saying to me, don't be afraid to take risks, Janine. And that guided me. And when I think about leaders or coaches or parents, our words, when our youth are around us or someone's around you, you have the power to heal or inspire or tear someone down. And what did your father say? If you start something, you got to finish it, or what did he say?
Yes. Yeah, if you start something, you got to finish it.
Yeah, I love that. Surround yourself with community, find something that you love to do. And if you can't do your sport, like, I interview athletes that are now going after their para athletes because they've had accidents and
Yeah.
they're bound to a chair. So, that's a perspective and a mindset shift.
Yeah.
So I
I
absolutely
started
love that.
teaching spin, right?
Yeah.
I
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, why am I paying for a gym membership? I'm coming to this spin class anyway. Might as well lead it. So I got
Yeah.
my certification, taught spin. Then I went to your bar studio and fell in love. And then when Good Life said, hey, we need bar instructors, I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Very humbling. But I did it. And I taught spin till I was 30 weeks pregnant, with my first son. So
Perfect.
it was a passion that I got up and couldn't wait to do. So
I love it. Well, very great advice for those listening in. I didn't know you left at 15, so I learned something even more new about you today. And
a lot of
or
people
that,
don't. Yeah.
what's that?
I said a lot of people don't, or they
Yeah,
realize when their kids get close to 15, they're like, what do you mean? That's really early.
I know. It's crazy. No, it's awesome. But you it shows your growth and development and all that you do. You're strong, independent female, you're a hard worker, you're loyal, you're a great friend, you're positive, you're energetic. So I'm so glad to have you on. And obviously, you've helped with our stuff in the mortgage world. So we're grateful for you too. But for those of you tuning in, we've got Liane Moskal with us today. This is episode 36, Transitioning to Life After Sports. Feel free to check out the other episodes. They're on the YouTube page, and we have amazing athletes coming down the pipeline. But our mission here today as a community is to support those suffering in silence. Anywhere you are around the globe, know that there is a network of athletes here to help, no matter what you're going through. So thank you so much for being with us today, Liane.
Thanks, Janine. You're awesome. I love these. Watch